Hi, Mallory.
Hello, Jamie. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Mallory is going to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about myself because I know the hustle. I know everything is a balancing act, being a
Mhm.
wife, a mom, and owning your own business. So, Mallory is going to talk to us about balancing real estate and family. So, a little bit about Mallory. She is a wife, mom, realtor, and real estate investor. Within 18 months of getting licensed, she has sold more than 4 million in real estate without sacrificing family priorities. So give us your tips, Mallory.
Thank you, Jamie. I love the pink earrings. We both got those going today. Thank you to both of y'all. Y'all have been so amazing, and I just love being able to be a part of this today and just honored to get on here and chat with y'all. So, yeah, we're going to dive in and talk about balancing work and family. This is a hard one for me in the real estate world because it is a hustle and it is busy. And at the same time, though, we love our kids, and our kids are young and little, and we want them to be a part of what we do day in and day out. And we want them to be instill some great character and work ethic, and just to tag along with mom and dad and do stuff together. So here's what we're going to kind of go over today. So we're going to talk about how my husband and I both got into real estate 18 months ago, a very gut wrenching faith journey to quit our W 2 jobs and start this journey and getting back at the beach and fulfilling a dream that we had had for a while, but also switched gears and totally went into different fields than what we had been doing for quite a few years. And then we're going to talk about how we juggle work and family time, how we've kind of had to take some steps back and analyze what really is the right fit and the right schedule for our family as we're both busy. But again, I love our kids. And so I want to not lose sight of these little tender years. And intentional parenting. So for us is we're learning and growing in an aspect of we can still have our kids hanging out with us and coming alongside us in our businesses and still be successful at the same time. And for that, we're just so grateful. So here's the backstory. 18 months in real estate. I am going to go over some of this, but I'm going to give a precursor. There are so many agents and colleagues that I'm so impressed with that have done far beyond these numbers. And it's amazing. And I'm so thrilled that there's always room to grow and there's so much more volume to be attained. These are groundwork numbers that were laid in our first 18 months. And the growth in all for 2022 is well underway. So this is kind of what has happened, and this is where we're headed. 18 months in real estate, 20 closings. So those are personal real estate closings for me as an agent. My husband will talk about all the great things that he does in this investing world, but 20 closings completed just as a mom agent. 5 flips completed. Those were a journey and a process. And I think anyone who has done flips knows it's a great thing to get past number 1, 2, and 3. And now we're about to be under contract. Well, we're under contract for number 6. We close on that one next week. Number 7 is coming up soon, right behind it. And that's a great thing. We've enjoyed our flips. So the groundwork for 2022. Here's where we're headed. And this is what the very last bullet gets me very excited. My goals for 2022 as a working mama is 200,000 in income from just my personal real estate world of things. 40 closings, so we're definitely trying to double and beyond. But really, where it's happening is the icon. I really am excited about that. That is a new one on my vision board. I will wrap up capping either my closing yesterday or the one next week. I got to go back in and double check. But I have 8 in escrow, an offer out right now for signatures that should be number 9. So as we all know, right, when you cap, you got to get 20 or so closings post capping, and I have till July. So I think with 9 or so that are upcoming closings in the next 2 to 3 weeks, about halfway there towards Icon. And again, I have till July. So I'm very much hoping to keep that goal in front of me from now till then. So again, not the biggest numbers, but as we will talk more and you'll see some photos and all, It includes our kids by our side joining in on the fun. So it's definitely a family affair and a family process for us. Okay, so our story, October of 2019. So let's all remember pre-COVID. Seems like a long time ago. We were living in Georgia. My husband and I are both from the Florida Panhandle, and I had been a piano teacher for 11 years. My husband had been working with his cousin in a turf management company and absolutely thriving and keeping ball fields pristine and gorgeous, and had been doing that for about 8 years. Not a lot of ball fields in the Florida Panhandle. Um, Not a huge demand for piano teachers either. So we were definitely realizing that our dream after we had had our children, as you see in this photo, they're ages 3 and 5, that we wanted to bring our kids back to the beach and raise them along the gorgeous Emerald Coast. So things were starting to be talked about, and our wheels were spinning in the fall of 2019. And so the goal was for the year of 2020, we were going to move back to Florida. So my husband is really the one that catapulted and started this. And I'm just so amazed that he laid the groundwork for something that we love so much now. But he began listening to Bigger Pockets podcast, and he started to really dive into the real estate world extensively for about 3 weeks. And came to me one night because we didn't know what field we would go into. All this was just very preliminary and early decisions. And he starts talking with me about real estate and using big words like wholesaling and investing and passive income and short-term rentals and flipping, and is just passionate. Like, I can tell in his eyes, he is pumped. This is where he's headed, and really was settling into the fact that we're probably really going to do this. But it was scary, and it was things that I had no idea anything about, for that matter. I'm still learning so much. And I walked out of the room and I cried, to be perfectly honest, and was horrified of starting this. We were very comfortable. Our jobs were great and easy, and life was pretty simple. Our kids were 2 and 4, I want to say, at the time of this, maybe. So yeah, we were raising toddlers, but jobs were easy. I didn't work a ton. I was really still pretty engaged with our kids. I worked about a day or two a week. But we knew this was going to shift our gears pretty significantly. So he comes to me with all that. And then he says, well, one of us needs to have MLS access. One of us needs to be a licensed agent. Would you like to do that? I was like, wow, that's quite the idea. So sunk into that thought for a minute and began my real estate course. So we all know spring, May, March, April, all that, everything shut down. So was not able to go get my license until July of 2020, when all the testing centers were back in gear. But in the meantime, in May, we had moved to Florida, and he was planning to get into the whole investing world and start the flipping and investing and all the other things I was describing. And I got my real estate license in July and joined EXP, which is the best decision ever. Photo down here, this was when I had first gotten my license. This was the first home we toured as a consideration to flip it. He was also his first time to see a home and do some analyzing to see if it was a consideration. And then this is the day after we moved, when our kids were enjoying that crystal clear water. So total dream come true. So glad we did it. Looking back, it's the best thing and the hardest thing we've ever done. Okay, so this is family is greater than money. When we were working in Georgia, well, your jobs are very different when you're a W-2 or just an employee, in a way that you're not a business owner. When we were done working, we were done working, and that shut everything off. And so once we were driving home, really there weren't responsibilities towards the evening or otherwise that we had to sort through or plan through. And now, as business owners, we have the ability to scale, and we have the ability to acquire, and we can hit volume as quick as we want to. And this is a hard thing for me because I feel like there can be this driving force because real estate really has no cap. As a piano teacher, there's only so many students you can really teach before you just spread yourself too thin and lose patience. In real estate, there's so many different hats you can wear, from investing to just personally listing homes and flipping and rentals and all that. Um, it's easy to get lost in that, but at the same time, it's easy to also create your own schedule. So for me, there's always, realizing that there's always more money to be made. There's always another deal to close, and the race really doesn't end. But ultimately, in the midst of it all, we can lose sight of the true meaning of wealth. And that's a drawing back point for us where we stop periodically and reassess our balance and our values and what's important to us in the midst of the hustle and the desire to be successful. Personally, for us, our measure of wealth is our faith. We are a Christian family. We love the Lord, and we want our kids to grow up and be nurtured to be full of character and wisdom and treat others well, and attend church and be an enriched family in that aspect. Strong marriages, if we're just making millions but our marriage is suffering, it's not worth it. Just not. And raising kids to be great adults, investing in their little hearts and minds so that they're not being raised by another institution or something else that's really impacting them. I want to be the one that truly impacts our kids day in and day out. And if I'm too overcome with other things, then we're going to miss the opportunity to serve other people, whether that's our time or our money and things that we can support in missions and different things, or giving to people and just doing sweet things, or sharing experiences like today, our fun experiences of 18 months in real estate. Harvey McKay, you might have heard from him or heard of him. He is a 7-time New York Times bestseller. He wrote the book Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. That's one of his most popular ones, and very successful. He has sold 10 million copies. His books are in 80 countries. But in the end, he's very much known as a family man, and he is has been married for 50 years, has children and 11 grandchildren that they enjoy spending their time with. And this is his quote: "I will not neglect my family in the pursuit of the almighty dollar." Not much more to say. That's a strong point. So, talking about intentional parenting. So, our schedule in the midst of prepping for the vision board and the 200,000 this year and the 40 closings and Icon, and my husband doing flips. I think he just bought a, I should know this. I think he just bought a long-term rental condo today. We're usually pretty in touch with each other, but that one, um, I think it just happened. I actually heard that from my title girl today. She's like, "I just got another contract from your husband." So lots of different things happening. But ultimately, intentional parenting is just hugely important. When my husband was asked back in October if I would be an agent, my biggest drawback, and fully explained to him, which he fully supports because we're on the same page, is I will not neglect being a mom. Like, mom life comes so first. For me, obviously, wife life is up there too, but mom life takes time, and I just did not want to lose my time with my kids. But in the end, this all really works. So for us, this is where we're at in our season of life. And I want to say that very respectfully and humbly, because we all go through different seasons. And you may be in a season where you're really hustling and just busting out the volume, because maybe in a year you're going to retire and spend time with your kids at your leisure, and your kids are at aftercare till 5:30 in the afternoon. Everyone has their season, and it's all commendable as we're all trying to do this and provide for our kids and provide that great home life. So, no, for us, we're really around our kids a lot. But if you're not, and that's just because of goals oriented right now, um, please know that we're all doing what we can do and what's right for our family. So keep all that in mind. Definitely want to be careful in how I convey this for us. So my little boy is 3. He is a mama's boy and he is a homebody. So he wants to be home with his mama at noon every day. He does not have any interest in staying for lunch bunch. So my boy comes home with his mama. So he is there from 8 to 12 every single day at preschool, sweet little preschool. We love our place. And my daughter's in kindergarten. So she is there till 1:30. She also comes home, and I'm usually picking and picking them up each day, unless there's showing or something, and my parents are right around the corner and they fill in for me and are amazing to be extra help when we need it. But ultimately, this is kind of our driving force: is we want to be the caretakers of our children. We want our kids to do life with us. We feel like they are impacted so positively and strongly by adult interaction from even a business standpoint. And they're picking up a lot of things, and we'll go over that. But they're starting to understand real estate life. My daughter calls me a real estater, but it's growing. She'll be 6 in April, so she's getting to the age that these things are starting to sort of make sense in her young little mind. We want to develop their character and their work ethic by experiencing our family business. So, like I said, they're starting to notice. We'll drive by a home that could use some significant TLC, and my kids will be like, "We could flip that." And they're picking up this style of life, and maybe one day they're going to invest and learn even more. We want our kids to learn money comes from hard work. It's also a big one. I want our kids to see that this work, and as they tag along to a flip and start to see progress done, they know what a closing is. That's definitely become something we've celebrated. So they therefore know a closing means money and work created the closing. It's all starting to go hand in hand, and it's starting to make sense for them. We want our kids to know boundaries. This one has been a journey because over the summer, this past year, our kids were with us the whole summer. We don't have childcare over the summer. Again, my parents are great and they do grab them here and there, but they're not in a daycare setting or something like that. So over the summer, as I was doing closings, they were with me and on those phone calls. There was really not an escape. We also shut down TV last summer. Pretty sure my blonde is to cover some grays as a result of that. That was a very ambitious decision for our family. It's a little crazy, but the kids were able to start to recognize mom's on the phone. We have to be quiet. Learning. Sometimes they tag along with me on showings. That's pretty rare. But like tomorrow, I'm going to travel about 45 minutes to take a lockbox off of a house for a listing that I have. They'll go with me. We'll probably stop at Chick-fil-A on the way back and make it something cute for them. But typically, they're just around me for work calls and giving me time for that, or computer stuff. But also, please know, I love my kids, but it's not always perfect. Last week, I was on the phone. My son thought my daughter was going to drink all of his water and that there was not an endless supply of water, and he lost it. And I had to tell the agent, please hold, muted her so she did not hear the screaming, and discussed that we will never run out of water, and we got things back in order. So it's not always perfect. They've come a long way, and I'm really proud of them being able to recognize when mama needs a minute. So all to say, we celebrate our closings with our kids. This is really a fun thing for us. So we're now back to like a monthly closing celebration. Over last year, in the first half of my first year, and then the following months over that year, I did 14 closings. Nothing huge and crazy, but they were sporadic, so we could hit up some of these little celebrations. But now, with 8 or 9 in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're doing one a month. So this one over here at the bowling alley, that was Sunday evening. That's our January celebration to thank the kids for just investing and helping their parents. They get to have a special something throughout the closings that they know. In the middle here, this was over the summer. We kind of act like tourists sometimes and hit up the racetracks and different things in Destin, Florida. That's a lot of fun. A swing, that was one gift from a closing. They loved that. But even sometimes we just do little things like ice cream. That's a huge treat to them. So this story, or this picture tells a story. This is saying that this is actually attainable. Success and your kids alongside you is attainable. This was about 2 weeks ago. This is a home that we're closing on in the next, I guess next week we're closing. But our kids went over there with us a few days ago. It was after school, so we met contractors. Ended up going longer with our chatter with them and planning out reno than we expected. But my daughter just was able to go to the car and get her little busy backpack and play. And they hung out and they grab a tape measure and they do some stuff with us to kind of help. But at this point, there was an aha moment. I was like, oh, they're actually okay and they're keeping themselves occupied. And they were fine. So she's coloring, he's scooting a little car across, and we recruit them to help us if we need anything while we're there. We don't do a ton of this, but I'm just saying we're creating the expectation that they can cooperate most of the time. And we also are kind of old fashioned, so we don't use iPads, we don't use phones. Um, Nothing against that, but just to say, like, we like for them to busy themselves with either playing in the yard of a property or piddling with some of their little toys, and kind of got me excited that they were able to do that. So I snapped a picture and gave me encouragement. This is really a big point, and this is something that I have to use often, that family is, and that's in all caps, is an appointment. And this was taught to me by my mentor who helped me very early on as an agent, knowing that there was going to be a lot of juggling and supporting clients, but also keeping family up. And she's like, family is an appointment. You can stay engaged with your clients. You can still be that 5-star agent. But if there's a conflict, you can say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. And that appointment may be T-ball. That appointment may be a school function, whatever it may be. Don't have to elaborate. It's just an appointment. That is huge. So the story with this is right before Christmas. Obviously, this is a nativity. This was on like a Tuesday evening, about 6 o'clock. We had planned to take our children. That's my dad. My parents were going to go to see our church, one of the churches in town, offer this sweet nativity experience. And about 4 o'clock that evening, I got a call from a brand new client who had heard about me and asked if I could help them find a home in Fort Walton with a very short time period of 48 hours. That's all they had, based on some loan and different issues, that they had to be under contract in 48 hours, submitted and done in order to purchase a home, or there was not going to be any home buying for them. This was very difficult. This was a moment of, I could let my husband just take our kids to this. I could just go and get these folks in these homes and find them one tonight. But ultimately, this was something our kids knew about, and I really wanted to attend this with them. So we ended up saying, I have an appointment. Are you okay if I can meet you about 7 o'clock tonight? Oh, yeah, that's fine. They had no problem with it. We ended up driving separately. My husband was able to leave from the nativity, take the kids home, get them settled in for bed, and I left to go knock out those showings. And the buyers are closing next week. So all was well. But family is an appointment. Use that because we don't want to spread ourselves so thin. We can't be everywhere at once. And we also want to be quality to our clients. So if I can't do it all, but I can hit these appointments for my clients and also for my family and my kids. So tips for balancing work and family. These suggestions and things that we've had to implement are ways that we can then use our free time to engage with our kids. And pretty much every afternoon, I'm hanging out with my kids for the most part because of these new things that we had to implement in our home in the past 6 or so months. Subbing out responsibilities. So I think we all have this expectation that we should be able to just do all the things, and you just can't do all the things. So For us, we have had some car detailing help, someone that comes in and does that on site for us periodically. House cleaning, this one was extremely hard. My husband is so supportive on that one. I really didn't want to spend the money, and B, I really like to do it myself. But it came to a point that I was spending time cleaning instead of hanging out with my kids when they got home from school, because while they were at school, I was working. So we ended up coming to the terms that we needed to hire a house cleaner. She comes in once a month and cleans. And I will have to say, it was a great decision. The first day that she came, I was actually on the phone negotiating a $1.5 million beach home for my buyer. And it was money well spent to give her that time and her expertise while I worked the deal on that, and we closed. So definitely laid the groundwork for having the free time to handle quite an extensive closing that one involved. Yard maintenance, we do want our kids to see us working on, the mundane, basic stuff around the house, but we do sometimes get some help with yard maintenance. And then hiring a transaction coordinator. I think we all, as agents, have to come to a point where we have to hire that. I'm about there. Like I said, I think 8 or 9 will now be in escrow based on this last one. That would be number 9 today. That's a lot of paperwork. So maybe at a point that needs to be hired out. And then setting appointment boundaries. This one is also a big one. This one goes up there with the family as an appointment for me. Prioritizing your non-negotiables. So what is the things in your family and your life and personal life, whether it's going for a run at 6 p.m. every night, or it's a school function, a sports for your kids, a date night, or church? What are those things that you absolutely have that, unless it's a very unique situation for a client, those moments and their small little snippets of our time in the day trump other things related to our business that would distract us. Um, for us, that's pretty important. Like Sunday morning, I had a buyer that would like to get into a home to do some furniture measurements. They're going to be closing in a few days. And I said, yes, absolutely. I'd love to get you into the house. We'll be in our church service that morning. Is it okay if we go over in the afternoon? Cool. Yeah, that's fine. So again, our clients still get all that they need from us, but we may have to kind of navigate the timeline of when we can do all those things. So those are our non-negotiables at the bottom, but it's always something that we have to kind of strive for. I have come up to a T-ball practice a little bit late in a lapel and real estate closed and all that from something. Or sometimes we do it all wrong. Like on a date night last Friday, I was out with my husband and I got a call, and I'm so conditioned to answer the calls because I just have a pet peeve if agents don't answer their phones. And I answered an unknown phone call at 8:30 on a Friday night, and it was an agent wanting to go over my request for repairs for a property for a client, and it got kind of heated because negotiations were not going very well. All ethically great, but it was a strong phone call, and it was not the time. And I really felt bad that I grabbed that on a date. So it's not always done like it should, but these are our usual boundaries that we at least shoot for. If you're married, prioritizing date nights and retreats. I feel like marriages are so untreasured in our society. And that is sad for me. And it's a passion of mine that the core of our home is my husband and my marriage. And I don't want to be this massively fantastic agent that loses sight of what's really special in her life. And that's a man. So what's a great business or great kids if our marriage is neglected? So keeping those date nights and keeping those retreats or whatever that looks like for your marriage, just don't lose sight of that. It's too special, and it's pretty great. And then I'm watching time. We're getting close to the end here. Being willing to make sacrifices. So if you are at a point where you're wanting to involve your kids more in what you do, this is kind of the flip side of it. For us, is the TV is really never on. We just our evenings are not spent watching TV. They're spent usually on the computer. There's a lot that I have to get going on after the kids go to sleep at night. So again, evenings spent at the computer. Mornings while the kids are at school, they are by no means leisurely. Like I said, I only have about 4 hours each morning. A lot happens and it works, but it's very go, go, go. So that's the flip side is time that they are not around me is time that is aggressively hit for working and it's not chill. So we have to make it work. But the benefits of this, and this is where we're gonna finish up here, is it's so fulfilling. I love being a working mom. I think I'm a better mom for it. And I also love that I can financially contribute to our family. So for me, I am in my element and so glad that we are doing this. Very enriching. We're obviously helping people, and we love that. We're able to buy homes that people aren't able to continue to pay for and change those and sell them or keep them or whatever that looks like. But we're investing in people's lives. And it's also obviously financially rewarding. We have uh, the ability to do special things with our kids and take trips because of how much we're trying to keep the work stuff going and the volume going. So we're a unit, we're a family affair. It's pretty crazy sometimes. There are definitely times when I'm pulling my hair out and I'm yelling at my kids and I'm apologizing later. It is not picturesque. This is not just a beautiful day in and day out, charming little life, but we love it and we wouldn't change a thing. And I'm so glad that our kids can be a part of it. I'm glad that they can learn and come alongside us, that we can work together with our kids. We can celebrate this style of business together with them and reward them for the efforts that they also do for our family. So um, ultimately, I hope that if you're early on as an agent and you're trying to plan how you're going to juggle this, like I did a year and a half ago, that this gives you some ideas and some inspiration and some encouragement that it's totally attainable and you can do great volume even as a mom. Or if you're on the other side of it and you're very seasoned, you're just thinking that maybe you've lost a little bit of balance. Maybe this gives you some suggestions and just things that we've kind of learned and we're still learning as we're going forward. That maybe it encourages you to maybe give your kids a chance. I think there's so much they're capable of so much more than maybe sometimes we realize. And if your kids are older than mine, all the more ability that they could have to kind of even become your little assistants. So for us, teamwork makes the dream work, but ultimately family work makes the dream work. And we love it. So reach out to me, contact info, take a photo, whatever. If you have any questions or you just want to, you know, see if there's anything you want to hear from me more, we're happy to talk with you. But thank you to Jamie and Chris for having me on, and I'll close out.
Thanks for sharing. I mean, you got a lot of
Yes.
love in the comments. Definitely go check the comments out, both Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
Because really, what you verbalized, I mean, any parent in this, regardless of what industry, but we're talking real estate, they can relate.
Oh yeah.
Especially the ladies out there, although it's not exclusive to women.
Right.
But it's very relatable. Just not everyone talks about the phone call when you got a screaming kid on the other line, right around the corner. Which I can instantly. I came up with two examples in my head where I was on an important Zoom call, separate circumstances, and there was an injury that happened. One of them was like pretty bad. I mean, not like hospital stuff.
But mama freaks out when I see
Yeah.
blood. Okay. So I was screaming. The kids were screaming. He was on a Zoom call. This is like COVID, you know? So we were
It was
working from
serious
home.
enough where, I mean, I had to excuse myself and address the problem. But in any case, people can relate. It was such an incredible story and tips, and I know people got a lot of value out of it. So, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to celebrating Icon with you here soon.
Yes.
I know. I'm so excited.
That was really good information. A part of I was texting Chris during your presentation, and I was like, you know, is she telling our story? I mean, we're just so alike. I mean, and how we balance it all, and just how we got into real estate. I mean, everything. So it is rewarding. having that time with the kids and being able to balance it. So
Yeah, it's
highly,
priceless. It's totally
yeah,
priceless.
yeah. Well, thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.